lost me there for a second. When I said, are you still there, I'm not sure what you're saying.
You're not sure what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know if my phone broke up or what, but you're saying that as a citizen, when I'm stopped by a police officer, I don't have any rights?
Your rights at that point, Mr. Malio, have been suspended. That's part of what makes the powers and duties of a... In fact, it's one of the things that I say to each and every one of the police officers who graduates from the Shreveport Police Academy since I've been mayor. You have to understand there is a great deal of power that is vested within the law enforcement personnel of this country. That's why there's also a great deal of responsibility that has to go along with it. That's why I'm very proud, based upon the description that you've just given me. It appears as if this particular officer has exercised that power in a very professional fashion. Each of those police officers, even the most junior, the one who's fresh out of the academy, has a power that I, as the elected mayor of the city of Shreveport, that I do not have. They have a power that the President of the United States does not have, and that is the ability to be able to suspend your rights when you have been pulled over for whatever suspected action that you have taken. At that point, your right to continue to proceed has been taken away. If you chose to continue to advance down the road in your truck, despite the fact that you know that you have been properly and appropriately signaled by law enforcement personnel to pull over, then you are in violation of the law. So that's the first right that you had at that particular point in time that has been suspended. Your choice to keep your driver's license in your pocket and away from view and inspection has been suspended. Your choice to keep your vehicle registration and insurance information in your glove compartment or wherever it is that you keep it has been suspended. Your right to be able to hold on to your weapon and say whether I have a weapon or not is my own business at that particular point in time has been suspended.
So what if I would have had the door locked on my truck? And you couldn't...
Answer to the question that the officer gave to you of do you have a weapon in the vehicle? If he had said no, then the officer chose in the interest of officer safety to secure you in a safe position and then do an appropriate inspection of your vehicle and determine that you had in fact did possess a weapon, you would be guilty or potentially guilty of even a more severe offense.
Which would be what?
Failure to honestly answer a question that's been asked of you by law enforcement personnel.
Well, I answered that question honestly, and he disarmed me.
It would be appropriate and proper action, sir. The fact that you gave the correct answer it simply means that you did what it is that you were supposed to have done, and that is to give that weapon to the police officer so he can appropriately place it in a place where it would not be a threat to you, to him, or to anyone in the general public.
Well, you know he still had a gun. How is he...
Because he's a police officer. Is that just related to you? That police officer has powers, sir, that you do not have. He has powers that I do not have. I'm the mayor of the city of Shreveport. I'm responsible for the entirety of this city. But if you are traveling down a street in this city right now, and I pull my vehicle in behind yours, and I yell for you to pull over, you can look at me and give me whatever sign or signal or say whatever it is that you are inclined to do so. Because despite the fact that I'm the mayor and I sign the paycheck of every police officer in this city, I do not have arrest power. I do not have the power to detain. I do not have the power to be able to suspend your rights, sir. But a police officer does.
Well,
Barack Obama, who commands the military forces of this country, does not have that right. I'm the appointing authority for each and every member of the Shreveport Police Department. I am their commander-in-chief, but I do not possess the power that they have. I do not have that authority.
I wonder
I am not a member of law enforcement, sir.
Well, I wonder why we see to serve and protect. It doesn't sound like service. It sounds like...
Well, again, that sounds like, well, we would disagree, sir. Sounds like you were served well, protected well, and even got a consideration that maybe you should not have gotten. Because if you had, in fact, made it in proper lane usage, that might have been something that the officer, in the interest of public safety, should have properly cited. Because it might have meant had he not been there and someone else had been in a similar position, might have caused an accident and possible physical harm or damage to property.
You know, Mr. Mayor, I have been stopped before by police, and I've never been asked that question. I have always been asked, let me see your driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration. I've never, ever been asked that question, especially before any other questions.
But then that would be called anecdotal evidence, Mr. Valio. It would not necessarily be representative of what happens 100% of the time. Those are the types of issues that are left up to officer discretion. Just like him not choosing not to cite you for the offense that he pulled you over for was officer discretion.
Well, of course, that has absolutely nothing to do with what my complaint is.
Well,
the fact, the ticket.
You've given me your complaint, sir. I've given you my opinion. If you would like to pursue the matter, the appropriate place for you to actually file that complaint so a proper, complete, and thorough investigation can be done would be with the Internal Affairs Division of the Shreveport Police Department.
Well, I don't think Internal Affairs really would be the place to go, since the officer himself, I don't think, is really the thing that's out of line. I think the thing that's out of line is the policy, and I don't think Internal Affairs handles policy, or do they?
Okay. Well, if that is the case, and you would think that it's a policy decision, then I would suggest that you put your complaint in writing to me. Feel free to send it to members of the City Council as well, and ask that we give it some consideration. But always know that as mayor of the city of Shreveport, I'm going to look just as anyone who is in a civilian capacity should. I will always look to the leaders of my law enforcement division to give to me what it is that they believe in their professional opinions should be the policies and precepts of the Shreveport Police Department, and would not look to politicize those by interjecting my own as someone who is not a member of law enforcement unless there is an absolute compelling reason to do so.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you know, there's people that pose as police officers and have lights on their cars and uniforms, and if they come up and say, do you have any weapons, and go get it, where are we at? How do we know these people? I mean, if they're going to...
What I would suggest to you, sir, if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone is attempting to present themselves as a law enforcement official and you are not sure if they are, then at that point you should continue to proceed, not pull over, get to some place where there are other individuals. If you also have at your disposal a cell phone or other means of communication, call that number and report that. Dial 911 and say that there is a vehicle. It appears to have a light, but it does not have appropriate markings. It appears to have a light, but the individual is not wearing a uniform. I'm located at such and such location. I do not know, am not sure, don't believe that this is a member of law enforcement. Would you send out a uniformed, marked unit that would confirm that I am actually in the presence of commissioned, duly appropriated, or duly appointed, rather, law enforcement personnel, or someone who is attempting to convince me that they are law enforcement personnel?
Well, at that time I was out of the car. There was not anything I could do.
Okay. Was this a uniformed officer who pulled you over, sir?
That's correct.
Was he in a marked patrol unit?
I couldn't tell. It was nighttime. It had lights in the front and lights on the top, in the windshield, whatever.